I'm Wayne, and today we have a really easy recipe. All we're gonna do is, it's very few ingredients, and we're just gonna make a creamy chicken and broccoli. And we're gonna serve this over pasta. So the first thing we're gonna start with is we have chicken tenders, and what we're gonna do, if you take notice on chicken tenders, get a close up of this if you don't mind. You see the little white tendon, and it's in all chicken tenders, no matter which ones you buy. We're gonna remove this, and the easy way to remove this is you take yourself a paper towel, and you're just gonna grab that tendon, and you're gonna hold on to it, and you're gonna take a fork, and you're gonna stick it right there over that tendon, and you're just gonna pull down. And you're gonna pull that tendon right out of there. And that's all we're gonna do with these. We're just gonna grab it. We're gonna hold on to that tendon. Take our paper towel. And we're just gonna take the fork and go right down over it. And you're gonna pull down with the fork. And it pulls that tendon right out. So we'll get these done. And then we'll go on to our next step. Now, if you were gonna serve this without pasta or without rice, you could leave these exactly the way they are, but since we're gonna serve this over pasta, we're gonna cut these up a little bit. So what we're gonna do is just bite size a little bigger, just so they're not all in one piece. And of course, as we go, we're gonna find any spots that we wanna take out, and we're gonna make sure that we trim them up, get rid of any big pieces of fat that might still be on it. Because you don't want, like my children say, you don't want to bite into chicken rubbers. Any stragglers like that, we just want to get rid of that. Just cut it up. This really isn't a whole lot of measuring involved in this recipe. That's what makes it nice. All I did was I took a package of chicken tenders, and I think, matter of fact, I think the weight was 1.7 pounds, almost 2 pounds. I took one large bag of frozen broccoli. You can use fresh or frozen, but I used one large bag of broccoli. And again, depending on your taste, you can use more if you want. I'm using 2 cup, or depending on what you shop, it's a smaller bag. I'm using white cheddar. You can use the orange cheddar. You can use any cheese you want. And I'm using 2 cans of condensed cream of chicken soup. As I said, there's not a whole lot of ingredients. It's a simple recipe. You could do this in a slow cooker. The only thing I would not recommend is they don't really ever recommend putting raw chicken, whether you're making soup or whatever. They always recommend you cook the chicken first before you actually put it in. So I would at least recommend that you cook the chicken before you put it in a slow cooker. But once we get this all cut up, now what we're gonna do is we're gonna set this to the side, and I'm gonna heat up my pan, and I'm gonna put about a tablespoon and a half, 2 tablespoons of olive oil in my pan, and get our pan nice and hot. We're gonna let our pan heat up. We're just gonna add our olive oil. And we're just gonna let this pan heat up now. And while we're waiting for this, I'd like to take the time to ask that you like and subscribe to the channel and share it with your friends. You know, we appreciate everybody that has subscribed to the channel, and we are really looking forward to growing. We've been on now for a year, and I do enjoy doing it. I want to let everybody know that now that we are on Instagram, we are on Facebook, we are on TikTok, and we did now just start a Patreon channel. And we're gonna start adding stuff that's a little bit more in depth than what I can do here in 5 or 10 minutes. So you're more than welcome, and I would appreciate anybody who would like to join. But now that our pan is nice and hot, what we're gonna do is we're gonna add our chicken. And again, when you're cooking chicken or anything that you're gonna put in a stew or a soup or in the oven, we're not gonna cook this fully through, but we wanna make sure that we get enough of it done. We want to make sure that we cook this almost done, but not quite done, because like I said, this is going to go in the oven for about an hour. So we don't want to overcook the chicken. We're going to add a little bit of our salt and our pepper, and again, this is to your taste. You don't have to add it. You can add whatever you want. We're going to add a little bit more to this later, but we just want to get a little bit of this cooking in with the chicken. We just want to make sure, and like I said, we would have slow cooked this in a slow cooker, but you still want to cook your chicken. It's an easy recipe. Like I said, we're really not measuring anything out. The only thing that we have to worry about when we measure is we're going to add 1.5 cups of milk. That's the only thing I actually measured out. That's everything else is either pre-packaged or pre-canned. So you don't have to worry about, oh my God, I forgot the recipe. You could actually leave this stuff sit out and tell somebody if you're going to be late coming home, or you could tell your daughter, your son, even your husband, your wife, hey, I'm on my way to stuff sitting out, just throw it together. Now that we've cooked this partially through, what we're going to do is we're just going to shut this off. And we're going to take this whole thing, we're just going to slide it to the side for now, because what we want to do is we're going to take the rest of our ingredients, which is going to be our broccoli, and again, I've only used, it doesn't matter, as you can see it's still frozen. It doesn't matter whether it's frozen or thawed out. And we're just going to add it right to our bowl. We're going to add our 1.5 cups of milk. And we're going to add our 2 cans, equivalent, it looks like about 2 cups of cream of chicken soup. Because all we're going to do now is we're just going to take this and we're just going to mix this up. And this is going to go into a casserole dish for about an hour. And we're just going to mix this up as best you can. I mean, you don't have to get carried away with it, but we want to make sure that everything is mixed up. And this is going to thicken up a little bit as it cooks. But like I said, this is one of the easiest ones you're going to be able to do, because there's no measuring. You put it in, you mix it up, and we're going to dump this right into a casserole dish. We get this mixed up, and now we're going to add in our chicken. And we're going to preheat our oven to 350 degrees. Because we're going to cook this. Now, if you're doing like I am, and you're using a frozen broccoli, I would suggest about 40 to 45 minutes. If your broccoli is thawed out, or if it's fresh, you only have to go about a half hour with this. But you never want to serve, obviously, raw chicken, so just be careful. You can always put a thermometer in it and test the temperature. But it doesn't take long to cook this at all, whether it's frozen or thawed out. And now that we have this, we're just going to take this whole thing, and we're just going to dump this right into our casserole dish. We're just going to spread this out. Now obviously, you have to like broccoli, and you have to like chicken. But I find it is one of the easiest meals to make. And that's all we're going to do. We're just going to flatten it out like that. And now I have shredded white cheddar. You can use, like I said, you can use orange cheddar, sharp cheddar, mozzarella, whatever you want to use. And now all we're going to do is we're just going to take this and we're just going to put it right over the top. And you can serve this the way it is. You don't have to serve it with rice or on top of pasta. You can keep your chicken in one piece instead of cutting it all up like I did. We're just gonna cover everything that we can. And like I said, we're gonna bake this in the oven for about 40 to 45 minutes. You'll see, because what's gonna happen is, obviously you're gonna see this start to bubble. And like if you have a thermometer, you can put a thermometer in it and test it, and it'll tell you. Because you want the internal temperature. Remember, when you're dealing with chicken, you're gonna want the internal temperatures to be 165 when it comes to the chicken. So you're gonna want this to be around that temperature. So now we're gonna get this in the oven. We're gonna put it in the oven for 45 minutes. And while we're doing that, with 10 minutes to go, 12 minutes to go, we're gonna start our pasta. So we'll get this in the oven. Okay, we've had this in the oven for about 45 minutes, and we left it get nice and hot. It came up to temperature is what we wanted. And all we have to do now is, I'm gonna put this over pasta. You can do it with rice, or you could just serve it the way it is. But because we used 1.5 cups of milk, we wanted it to come out more like a sauce because we are gonna put it on pasta. So what we do now is we're just gonna take it. I'm gonna bust through this a little bit. I'm just gonna put that right over our pasta. And like I said, this is easy, it's quick, and as you can see, I didn't use thawed out broccoli, I used frozen. But that's all we have to do. So we're just gonna take this and put this down here a second. I'll move this out of the way. Maybe it's stuck. Now you could put, obviously you could put a little bit more on. But all we're doing, like I said, we use this instead of, because I know a lot of people like the fettuccine Alfredo, and a lot of people don't realize that the fettuccine Alfredo you're eating isn't technically really fettuccine Alfredo. Real fettuccine Alfredo doesn't have cream in it. So this is an alternative to your fettuccine Alfredo because we're using the cream of chicken. It's creamy. It's got that chicken flavor. It goes good with the broccoli. It goes good with the chicken. Obviously, it goes good with pasta. And like I said, you could put this over rice or just eat it without anything. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you'll like and share and subscribe to the channel. And I will see you next week.